Well, let's see if this is coming through live, loud and clear. And sure enough, this is what I wanted to get on live with you guys for, the dump. So let's see if we can have a nice little trade together here. Yep. And I'm going to head on over and make sure I'm logged into my exchange and place some bids here very shortly, I think. Binance Coin, Ethereum. Let's have a look. What's selling off the hardest? Have a look down our list here. And it's just bright red. It's all red. I think we're getting very close to finding a temporary bottom. Okay. Right, that all happened very quickly, so I haven't tweeted this or anything yet. I wanted to jump on and this is starting to look like a decent week, but we just haven't had any follow through yet. So smash that like button, guys, if this is coming through loud and clear, and feel free to share it on Twitter or whatnot as well. Let's see if we can get a proper bounce after what's been a very, very painful time. And I'm just going to let all my members know. And then get those questions ready, guys. And I'll try to read through them all in just a second. All right, Joe, Reese, Will, the Fox. Hey, David. Panic and jubilation. And I definitely think we've got a little bit of miners capitulating here as well. Feels a little bit like, oh, here we go, breaking news. Let's head over to Twitter. Dovey Wang, who I recorded an interview with just the other day. I'm just editing that one at the moment. So breaking, People's Bank of China in Shanghai head office just made a new regulatory update. Strengthen regulation and control, clamp down on cryptocurrency trading. Dovey's been known to stretch the truth a little bit, and there's been some lost in translation tweets from her lately. So isn't it absolutely funny how this stuff always happens at the most critical points? Those of you that have been long-time subscribers, you'll remember when I jumped on live in 2017 twice. The first time when China was apparently banning crypto exchanges, and then they were banning ICOs and then banning mining, and each one of those times basically marked a climax in fear, and people thought that Bitcoin was dead. It was the first time that the new wave of people had entered the market back in 2017. So there was only people that had been through cycles before that were believers and they knew about Bitcoin. They were the only people that knew that Bitcoin wasn't dead because China was going to ban mining or ban ICOs or whatnot. So if you're just tuning in, it looks like we've got some more news out of the People's Bank of China. And this is what they do. It always ebbs and flows between them saying that crypto's banned, and Dovey literally told me this in our interview the other day, that there's no black or white. It's all shades of grey. It's all a confidence game. The regulators want to feel like they're in control, and they want to portray that to the Chinese public. So I haven't had a chance to tweet this yet. Jumping on live. Come say hi. I've got 100 watching. Awesome. I love it. And it always seems to be a Friday night. So those of you in our Facebook group, you'll know that every Friday I feel like we're just setting up for a big volatile move. And I jumped in here. I was hoping that this was going to be the bottom, and we had a big move, a couple $100, and that was just sold into again. So the bears are in full control at the moment and closed that one out. But once again, I'm looking to see if this is going to be enough to get some follow through, but we just haven't had the volume. So if you have a look at this period here, hoping that this would be the bottom, but look at the green candles. There's just no volume in there. It's the sellers that have got all the control, and the shorters that were waiting for this bounce to load up on their next short and ride this another level down. But if we zoom out, I've just got a pretty plain chart at the moment in the Bollinger Bands. This is the last, I guess, level of support, the recent support at around 7,300. But yeah, I've got the Bollinger Bands on. These are just a really, really simple TA tool indicator you can use, and every time we get outside these Bollinger Bands, it's generally an indication that things are going to revert back to the mean or cool off, just like we talk about our RSI. Again, this was two clues. RSI is overbought or outside the Bollinger Bands. You can start to paint a picture if you're learning your TA skills and whatnot. So here we had a little dip below and we get a bounce. Dip below, bounce. If we zoom out a time frame even further again, we can see that anytime we get above, we have a little correction. We got well outside them on the weekly. That was the blow off top, and then sure enough, we come back outside of them, and that ends up having a bounce outside, mean revert. And now on the weekly, we had a little dip outside there and then had a big bounce, and we're just about to dip outside on the weekly as well. So a little wick outside of here. That doesn't mean that's this weekly candle's still got a couple of days left to form over the weekend, so we can stay outside of it for a day, all of Saturday and Sunday. But ideally, we want to close or get back within the Bollinger Bands within a candle or two. So that would be within a week or two in this case. Or looking at the daily chart, this is the second day we've been outside of that Bollinger Band. So I'd be thinking percentages tell us that at some stage we're due for at least a little bit of relief. We rarely close outside the bands 3 days in a row. So we closed back inside it on the third day there, for example. Here we can see a couple and then heading back to mean revert. That was the nasty sell-off. That big, I think that was a Friday as well, wasn't it, when we had that big bloodbath. So Bollinger Bands are really simple to use tool. Once again, big selling volume, no buyers stepping in yet. I don't think that we're quite done. I think a lot of people want a retest of that level, or even 7,200. Go back to the daily chart. And yeah, there's not a lot of support. If we lose these levels, you guys know it's probably back down towards 6,000, where we spent a lot of time last year, or even in the fives here. There's, this is a big volume profile chunk here. And we know that investors are viewing this as good value. So we can see with our on-chain metrics, have I got a couple of them up here? I don't think I've got the one that I wanted up. This is a cool site. AGGR.trade. So this aggregates all the data from all the different exchanges. So at the moment we can see that the big orders that are rolling in are all sell orders. And then once that flips down the bottom, we'll start to see a lot more green candles and buying, and we'll see the big green orders rolling in here. So these are all the little tools that I have at my disposal when we're trading. The TIE. So the TIE does some brilliant work about analysis and sentiment, and if you've followed the channel for some time, you'll know that I'm a huge believer that sentiment at the end of the day is what drives markets more than TA, more than fundamentals, because whatever you're looking at on the chart, whether you're technical analysis or whatever you're researching with fundamental analysis, that creates your sentiment, your feelings towards a coin, which you then act on to buy or sell. So I think that sentiment drives markets. So these guys have got some brilliant data. Their premium data is pretty expensive. I think about $8,000 is the cheapest one. But our members do get a little bit of that as well. All right, let's head back over and have a look at some of these options. So I've been really excited about the world of decentralized finance, but just the crypto market in general, the whole financial aspect of options and whatnot coming to these markets. So I don't like the cash settled futures and the derivatives that aren't backed by real Bitcoin. But these markets where people can hedge and bet that Bitcoin's going to go up and down, and you pay with Bitcoin, you have to hedge the position with collateral with Bitcoin. So I'm a real fan of what Deribit are doing in this case. I think FTX, that I love, the exchange that I've been talking about a lot recently, I think they're going to add options. I think Bitfinex, I've been talking to Bitfinex, trying to get a tell-all interview and one of those honest conversation style interviews, because I think if they get a Tether audit and they're going to put a good affiliate program in place, they're going to bring out options, 100 times leverage trading. They really were the number one exchange in the world for many years until recently. So Bitfinex want to get that number one spot back as well. But enough waffling on. So a few of the options that I'm interested in that I just posted about to members just before, I don't think Bitcoin is going to be below $6,000 in June 2020. That'll be a month after the halving. And at the moment, I can get paid $800 to make that bet. So collecting $800. Do you think Bitcoin's going to be above $12,000 a month after the halving? Well, at the moment, you can buy the option for $800. So if Bitcoin rockets to the moon and goes to 20,000 or more after the halving, you've got the option to use your ticket that you bought and buy as many Bitcoin as the options you own for $12,000. So even if they're trading for $20,000 or $100,000, you get to buy them for 12 because you bought the option to do so. So that's a real quick intro. I've done a deeper dive, units and extra education around crypto options in our premium stuff if you're interested. So let's head back over. Nothing too strong yet. It's just until we get the big volume, I think all of these are going to be faded and hit by the shorts again. Okay, I'm going to read some questions, and I really appreciate you guys all tuning in. So back up to the top, let's read all these questions and comments. So Digitex Futures, I want to have them on the channel soon. Again, not to do a promotion or anything like that. I want to ask him the hard questions about what went wrong when they were trying to build their exchange and where they're at now. Black Friday sale. Yeah, that's right. I swear this happens all the time. And so many Friday the 13th and Black Fridays whenever Bitcoin has these capitulations. Or maybe it's just because Bitcoin crashes so often. Bollinger Bands, I like them on all time frames. Similar to moving averages, it just lets you know when you've gone away from the mean, and things often revert in that instance. So we're starting to see a bit more of a battle between the bulls and the bears. It's really been all the bears for so long now. And one of the things I've been talking about is picture the natural buying demand. There's thousands of people now that dollar cost average. So every week there's millions of dollars going into Bitcoin. Instead of people wanting to keep their funds in their bank account, they're putting money into Bitcoin. As well as every week I do one-on-ones setting up people that are putting in $100,000 or even more these days. There's some really wealthy people that are putting in big chunks into crypto these days or through their super. So there's a lot of money that's going in. And yes, at the moment, there's a lot of selling from the miners. So we have to take into account, and the price finds an equilibrium. But between the dumping of the miners, new people buying, dollar cost averaging, 100 times leverage trading, it's no wonder that these markets are so volatile. Elon's truck is a joke and the world's laughing at him. Yeah, I know. So we've got a few more employees now at Nuggets News, and they do a great job with our socials. And I know they shared that Elon truck that looked like a tank on the Nuggets News Facebook page and Twitter today. Tyler Jenks, recently deceased. Yeah, he was a popular guy in the space. His hyperwave theory that we're going to 1,000. I think that theory's holds true for genuine bubbles, things that go up in price and then go back to their fair value, which in Tulip's case, for example, is fairly close to zero, or the cost of a tulip. Whereas I think, the million reasons I've outlined why Bitcoin is a great technology that's growing, it's not going back to that price. I think something really bad would have to happen. 4:30 a.m. Maxwell from the East Coast in the US. Well, that's what time I was up trying to get these articles out about Binance. Let's see if Davey's added anything else to this. Yeah, trying to get that article out about Binance because there's all these FUD going around. The block are reporting that Binance had got raided. I'm lucky enough to be on good terms with CZ and Wei, so jumped on Telegram and asked them what's going on, and they said there's no raid, there's no shutdown, there's no office. It's all FUD, so who knows what's going on, but it's very cool. We've got a full-time journalist now, so we can pump out breaking news for you guys. A few key points about this announcement. ICOs, blah, 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 are all unauthorized, illegal public offerings and securities. Yes, we know that China have been trying to stamp out all this sort of stuff because it's so close to scams. A law enforcement agency will conduct special ratification of crypto-related trading platforms, which can be registered overseas. Shall be immediately rectified. Okay. I wonder if there is more going on to this Binance news, but again, they're not really based in China these days. And we know that there's other Chinese exchanges that have kind of tiptoed around this regulation, or they cozy up to the regulators, and it's very clear that there's still people trading Bitcoin in China. What about Ethereum? Someone is saying, my beloved ETH, the DeFi movement, it's all taking off at the moment. One thing I will show you before we check the ETH price is the new range of assets that Synthetics put out. So if you love DeFi, one of the things I've been asking the FTX exchange to make is a DeFi basket. And this is exactly what Synthetics have made. So they make a synthetic basket of all the best DeFi projects. Link, Maker, 0x. So I own basically all of these already because I'm so bullish on DeFi, and Synthetics is up 1,000%. It's the best performing coin this year. So I hope plenty of you got in that one early as well. But this is awesome, the sort of synthetic products that they can make. Now, if you think DeFi is in a bubble or you don't like XRP, you can buy the inverse token, and that will go up in price if the underlying goes down in price. So they're creating all sorts of cool, funky assets, and I love it. In terms of the ETH to Bitcoin ratio, this probably shows it best. We're at a really critical point here. We've got to bounce off this trend line for the ETH Bitcoin ratio, and if this breaks down, it generally means that most alts are going to perform badly as well. So we had a failed breakout attempt here from this sort of inverse head and shoulders. Maybe another little attempt here, but it's a real battle at the moment. It's been hard to trade. I haven't made any good money trading in the past few months. It's been really hard, guys. It's been really choppy. You have a good trade and then you have a big week and you get liquidated among trying to make videos and do everything else every day. Why is everyone selling? The RSI is very oversold. That's what happens when more people sell than buy. If maybe it's the miners, maybe it's a few people capitulating. But all in all, when we look at those on-chain metrics, again, I'm going to head back over to the group where I shared a days destroyed. So days destroyed, think about this as if I hold a coin, if I hodl for a year and then I sell it or move it, I've destroyed 365 days. So we get big spikes every so often. That's when a lot of people are moving and destroying their days that they've hodled for. So when this is at zero, it basically means there's not a lot of coins moving around addresses. Most people are hodling. And that hasn't really changed. So particularly the top 100 addresses. Guys, the OGs that believe in this, they don't watch the news, they don't read the FUD. They're busy trying to build a new financial system. It's all a big game. The traders are pushing the price around, trying to get you guys to sell time and time again. It's normal for crypto to go up and down 90%, and then it goes up 1,000% the following year. It's part of the game. That's why they call it strong hands. Basic attention token. Yeah, I wouldn't say that that's really DeFi, but yeah, certainly a cool project, one that I own that's been doing really well. Trying to get Brandon Ike on the channel as well. Been very lucky with some big guests lately, so Thanks to everyone that comments and retweets. All that stuff on social media helps us get those big guests. If we break 6.4, it will be ugly. Well, I was thinking about this today. So back in 2014 and 15, if we go back to a weekly chart, as you can see here, after the big run up in 2013 at the end there, this was basically a 2-year bear market through all of 14 and then all of 15. There was a couple little pumps along the way, and then we took off. So what's happened this year is that, looking back in hindsight now, hindsight's a wonderful thing, but remember when we had all these shorts here that were trying to short 6K? And then that was basically one entire short squeeze up to 14. So that was fairly unnatural, and we didn't have 100 times leverage trading back in the previous market cycle. So if we didn't have any of that, maybe Bitcoin would have only got to 6, or maybe it would have got to 10 and then pulled back to 6 and chopped around here. So what I'm saying is that maybe we went a lot higher than what we were supposed to. Some people even think we capitulated lower than what we would have if we didn't have 100 times leverage trading and that Craig Wright news at the time. Either way, when you zoom out and go long term in the log chart, that doesn't like that with the Bollinger Bands. But the point is that every metric you look at is steadily growing. Bitcoin is heading in the right direction, and price is all a game, a short term. Don't worry about it too much. RLC and Carver, another cool 2 DeFi projects. Yep. I own Golem. I'm thinking about adding RLC as well for their decentralized computing power. How much do the options cost to buy? So again, you probably need to do a bit of extra reading because it is hard, but this is the price of the option here, how much it costs to buy them. So the option to buy one at $20,000 is $300. The option to buy Bitcoin for $3,000, obviously that's extremely expensive because Bitcoin's already higher than $3,000. So you're going to pay $4,500. And what's the current price? Around $7,500. So options are a perfectly priced mathematical model. That's why I love them so much. I haven't got any thoughts on Theta. Sorry, Spice Dog. What are your thoughts on that one? Algorand World Chest announcement. I'm not overly confident on these dozen proof of stake coins that are all going to be staked on Coinbase and Binance, and they're just competitors to all these other proof of stake chains. Cardano Shelley testnet. Yeah, I think you can already start to earn ADA for when they launch the real thing if you want to stake your Cardano now. Yeah, trying to get Adam Todd from Digitex, that's right. Do you know Bixweir or Bitcoin Ben? They've been saying that we're going to collapse, the money system's going to collapse every year for 10 years. Don't listen to these guys that say that the world's going to end next year. They've been saying it for 10 years. I'm a believer that something bad is coming because of the debt, but central banks are going to print that much money, it's going to be ridiculous. So stop complaining and waiting for the crash and learn how to trade and educate yourself on how to make the most of all this money that's going to be pumped into the market. Phantom, does that fall under DeFi category as well? One that I haven't done enough research on. So Matt's our new journalist and head of research, and he's doing deep dives into 5 projects a month at the moment. So I'll be covering them a little bit on YouTube, but again, mainly this is the stuff you get if you pay $50 a month and join our group. You get the newsletter, you get daily updates, you get the research, you get our gold and silver reports. You get a lot of value for $50 a month. I've got a business and staff to pay, guys, so unfortunately I can't share everything for free. Yeah, I'm trying to get Richard Hart on to talk about Hex because he's one that went from being really shady, not shady, really, he hated altcoins and now he's listing and launching his own altcoin. FTX tokens holding up pretty well. Yeah, it's pretty consistent. The trading volumes there, similar to BNB token. Where do exchanges buy their Bitcoin? Well, most exchanges just provide an order book and a platform for other people to buy and sell off each other. So when you buy a Bitcoin, you're buying it off someone that was selling it. Now, brokers are slightly different. So in Australia, someone like Coinbase has to hold a little bit of a balance, I guess you can think of it as, of all their different coins. But again, they're plugged into Binance, Bitfinex through APIs, and they're just drawing liquidity through other order books and through other players. I think Richard Hart's a smart guy, so I'm going to do my best to have a conversation with him, but I think he really likes to push his IQ hard, and I think he's smarter than me when it comes to crypto. Solargenic, yeah, I had an interview with them the other day if you want to check that one out. There's a lot of competition in the STO space, and I think that, I wasn't overly convinced about Solargenic. Nice guys. I wish them all the best. PrefLogic, yeah, a lot of people are excited about PrefLogic. Again, it's another STO platform. I'm waiting to see if these guys actually get security tokens launching and listing and producing revenue before we get too excited. So I keep saying that, guys, but even little projects that people love to give me shit about that weren't going that well, even Shavom and Blockgrain, Horizon State, these projects are all producing revenue. They've got a working product. They're still chugging along in the right direction. And when I invest in these, it's with that couple of years time frame. So it sucks when they're not killing it a year later. But some of these interviews I've got coming out with the venture capital investors, guys, they're locked up for 5 years. They don't even get a say in touching their shares and whatnot. And that's kind of how you've got to think about these things. And if you're not happy with it, sell it. And if you invested too much into these, you've got to realize that you should only invest tiny percentages into altcoins. The name of the game is really accumulating as much as you can of Bitcoin or the large cap projects that you're the most confident about. Skynet, make sure your internet is better than Stephen Livera. I did watch bits and pieces of that the other day, and isn't it a bad look when Aussies have terrible internet? But we're lucky down here in Tassie. You guys know I say that at least once every live stream, that Tassie has the best internet in Australia. Down we go. I would love us to get another bear break and be able to have a trade live together. How many have we got watching? 275. Well, the other thing that I'll get your guys' feedback on while we're here. So I've been having a play around with eToro, as you know. We recently had a bit of a partnership with them because it's actually pretty hard to trade stocks in Australia. There's not a lot of places that give you exposure to ETFs, the gold ETF, the S&P 500, those types of ETFs. So look, their spreads are, this is about 0.2%. Some of these coins, the cryptos, have higher spreads, but there's no fees. Anyway, what I want to put together is a portfolio, because they have this feature called copy portfolio. So I want to put together a basket of Bitcoin, gold and silver, and maybe top 5 alts. And I want to have that as like a hard asset portfolio. Now, I'm not going to actively manage that too much and trade too much, but I want to have it as like a fund or an ETF. So you can have that percentage of your portfolio and that is giving you exposure to gold, silver, Bitcoin, and the large cap alts. And there's not a lot of people doing that. If we get big market cycles, I might actively manage that a little bit. But yeah, for longer term, I've started having a little nibble here because I think if you're building a Bitcoin fund, these are the sort of levels where you want to be averaging in under 8,000. But what do you guys think of that? Would you be interested? Would you copy my portfolio if we had that basket of a hard asset investment fund? And you would be able to access this and copy it through your self-managed super as well. And we've extended the $100 sign-up deal. So if you sign up, make a deposit and have a few trades, I think you've got to make $10 profit or loss or something like that. I gave 100 people $100 worth of Bitcoin this week, as you guys saw in the tutorial I did. So I want to build my following in case we build that copy portfolio and that fund. So I hope you all got your Bitcoin. All right, that's enough pushing of my my interests. Funfair, Bob, I haven't looked at that again recently. I think they're still going well. Oz Crypto about XRP. No, but I'm going to be doing a monthly update with Sam from, is it To the Lifeboats? So him and I are going to do a monthly update where we're going to challenge each other on Bitcoin's progress and Ethereum and XRP's progress. So a friendly debate every month. Hopefully you guys will enjoy that one as well. Did you receive money from Digital X to pump Aussie ICOs? Rory says you did. Yes, I know. He's been at me for a couple of years. But no, guys, we didn't receive any money from Digital X or ICOs to promote them. That's, if you follow the channel from the beginning, you know that we made that very clear. And that was because if stuff like this happens, if some of them go bad or everything that was going on with, I work with regulators, guys. I'm on the board of Blockchain Australia. I was an early investor in Bitcoin. I've got our business. There's no need for me to sell my soul for a couple $100 or a couple $1,000 to promote an ICO. And as I said, guys, I stand by them. Every project we've covered, even the Blockgrain, Shavom, and Horizon State, they're the ones that people give me shit for supporting. They've all built a working product and they're all producing revenue. I know it sucks that the price is down, but people that say that they're scams and whatnot, it's just simply not true. They're real people running a real business. They have people using their product. Hope that clears that up once and for all. Holochain. Yeah, interview with them. I think they're another interesting project that's trying a slightly different consensus mechanism. RLC has been making big moves lately, yeah. One thing that I'm really annoyed about is Backed launching their cash settled product. So I wish the community would get angry about this, because Backed was all about being backed, and now they're not backed. So all this money is going to be going in, and they're just going to be creating more and more paper Bitcoin, just like we see with gold and silver. And I've got an interview coming up soon talking about this. Would you use eToro personally if you didn't have a partnership with them? So not for crypto trading, as I said, guys. FTX, the other exchanges that you all know and love, have got lower fees for crypto trading. But if you're in Australia and you want to buy an ETF, you can't really get hold of them through CommSec and the Australian platforms. And B, the fee's like $20 to buy $500 worth of shares. So the spreads on these are like 1%, and you can get access to all the US ETFs and a far wider range of products with zero fee trading. At the moment, it's CFD, so just contracts for difference, but they're just waiting to get the regulatory approval, and then they'll be listing real cryptos, real stocks, more Aussie stocks, more ETFs. So yeah, I think that this is a very cool platform that gives you something that you can't really get in other places in Australia. But no one's forcing you guys to use anything if you don't like it, and that's fine. Kiwi neighbor, what they're doing centrally? I'm not sure what you mean. Sorry, MC. News on Agri. Kale tells me that they're still partnering with these large ag companies. I think they had the second or the largest flour mill in Asia, so they're producing revenue. I think they got another round of investment from a big US firm, so they've got runway for another couple of years. Again, still people out there that get stuck into me, and that this is one of the best projects that's under the radar, and I'm not going to shill it anymore, but I'm happy with the things that I did my research on and covered on the channel. They're all going pretty well, so don't believe everything you hear online from the trolls, I guess. Will Hodgman hooking up miners in Tassie. I would love to see that. We did have some conversations. There's a lot of decommissioned hydro dams in Tassie. Crypto tokenization. Yeah, there's two theories, isn't there? That everything's going to be tokenized and everyone's going to have their own platform. And that would need to be a seamless experience where if you're buying something from our website and you're using Nugget coin, it would be in the background. Nobody wants to hold 100 different coins for 100 different businesses, but maybe everything will be tokenized to the point where you don't even realize that you're using different tokens in the background. Isn't cash settled issue with back the same as synthetics, what they're doing? So the way synthetics and Maker work is that Maker has individual CPDs, and that's backed by Ethereum. Synthetics pools all the assets, so there's not one, fund or loan. It's pooled, and that risk is hedged because it's so widely dispersed. But all the assets and all the trades, for every one trade, there's one person on the other side of it, and there's a liquidity pool of crypto. So, no, it's not the same as cash settled. South Africa, big banks are using Factom, DeFi. Cool. Maybe I'll have to look more into that. ETF app from Vanguard in Australia next month. I know Digital X were talking about launching another crypto fund, but I think that's only for sophisticated investors. I'm not sure. Can you buy and hold the stocks or just hold them? So again, if you just buy and hold the stocks on eToro, there's no fees. The fees start to increase if you use leverage, but again, you shouldn't really be using leverage. Not if you're buying and holding either. Thoughts on BCH? BCH is trying to experiment and do their own thing, and I think they have got a lot of adoption, and they've got some plans to roll out in heaps more places in Australia, but it's a free market, guys. If you want to use BCH, that's fine, but I ultimately think that you can't really argue that Bitcoin BTC is becoming that better store of value, the digital gold and whatnot. How early did I get into Bitcoin? So I got into Bitcoin when it was $10 in 2012, but you couldn't buy it in Australia then. So I didn't get to buy any until the following year in 2013 when the first exchanges opened in Australia. Yes, for those of you that are just joining in, we did have a look at those tweets from Dovey. Is there any other news in my Twitter feed about what's going on? I'm not too fussed. Every day there's more FUD about China banning crypto. Here we go. She added anything lately? Finally, Chinese crypto community is expecting such official announcements since earlier this week, as there is enough signal early on that the public government announcement like this will be posted. Another known pattern is big government announcement usually made on Fridays. So once again, everyone's probably forgotten about this, guys, haven't they? In another week or so. Haven't had any update about that M2 money figure. Someone told me, John Adams told me it was a bug, but I can't really find where that's the case in other data or not, whatnot. Retail traders behind the eight ball, like the big boys in traditional stocks, definitely. If you plan on trading and planning on winning, you've got to be able to, look me in the eye and tell me that you've done enough practice, whether it's trading courses or free stuff online. You've got to be able to know that you're better than the person on the other side of the screen that you're trading against, and that takes years. And sometimes it's just hard. Like at the moment, it's been choppy, and I haven't been able to make any money trading. Whereas when it gets trending and flowing, I'm very confident now that I'm capable of making good, consistent money with leverage. When we'll have that copy trader in place, just finalizing a few things with the guys. Been playing around, so there's just crypto there in the moment. I think the gold and silver might pull back a little bit more, and I'd love to try and nail the bottom for my copy portfolio for you. Roger dodged your question about Craig Wright. So did Andreas, really. I mean, I don't blame it. Nobody wants to have an argument. But I thought those conversations were a lot better and open than what a lot of people get on YouTube. So, I push the hard questions as much as I can, guys. But again, I want to make friends with these guys and have them back on in future. I don't want to upset them. Do I think XRP can flip Bitcoin? something bad would have to happen to Bitcoin. XRP could be the best payment system in the world and all the banks could be using it, but that doesn't mean that it's a store of value, and that's one thing that I still haven't been convinced about. He's traded Cobb in a sexual relationship with Craig Wright. I think Cobb just wants to be, it's the same as I do in some ways. He was just trying to be friends with everyone, particularly Australian. Now, if I've had Craig Wright on, I'd be throwing in some hard questions and throwing all the evidence that has been turned down against him and seeing what he says. And if I could do that in a respectful manner, I think that would be a wicked interview. But I don't know if Craig would agree to that. Economic complexity in Australia, we're ranked 93rd. I've covered that in my documentary and again recently. And I hate to be the fearmonger, but I am starting to get pretty worried about what's going on in Australia. I think you need to do everything you can to upskill yourself and learn about what's going on and just have a plan, live within your means, pay down debts. I'll do a whole episode on what I think people should do and how negative interest rates are going to affect them. Phil Wilson? No, I haven't. Why do the Bitcoin dollars behind you read the right way around? Depends. The program that I use to do the live chats with mirrors the screen for some reason. We've got no idea why it does it, but this live video, these cameras work fine. What is Litecoin going to do in the next market cycle? I think Litecoin, privacy, Mimblewimble, all the stuff we've seen in the news lately is going to play a big role. And I think Litecoin can definitely play a leading part in that. It's going to get harder and harder to make big improvements on Bitcoin because if they require a hard fork, it's very contentious. It's going to split up the network. So ideally they want to do soft forks. But if they have to, then they're going to be hard forking Litecoin and showing that it can work and proving it beyond a reasonable doubt before it would ever get hard forked into Bitcoin. So that's where Litecoin has a lot of value as a test net, in my opinion. I could be completely wrong. Enigma, I love Enigma. So that is one that I've been harping on about in our Facebook group for a long time. And it's been disappointing. They were meant to launch their mainnet a couple of months ago, and I think they're finally getting around to it. Everything, it's just coming together at the moment. It's so cool. Storage, Golem, decentralized everything. It's starting to... People are seeing how important it is to be decentralized, and they were the older, boring projects that I've had in my portfolio, and they're going full circle. Okay, here we go, guys. I'm logged into FTX. BNB is under $16, and let's see if we get a bounce here. If we go through here, there's going to be a lot of stops triggered, and we're going to get a nasty sharp spill. Okay, a little dip below it and a close above it, or do we hit down and touch 7,200 here? Finger on the trigger. I might have a little nibble soon. Okay, there's one order in for some BNB at 15.85. How are the other coins looking? ETH hasn't made a new low there, which is interesting. Litecoin has. XRP hasn't made a new low. Bitcoin Cash is getting smashed. Binance is capitulating. This is what I want to buy, guys. I want to be buying things that have capitulated the most that I believe are strong projects. Short to medium term. And that I can trade on margin. So this isn't a convincing bounce yet. I think we're heading lower. when we zoom out, we are starting to get pretty overbought now, particularly on the 4 hour. It's been pretty relentless lately. What are we down to? 12 on the RSI. Single figures in the RSI with these moves we've been having down lately. These things tend to end with a painful volume climax. But we haven't got any divergence yet. A little bit of divergence here, so we can see that price is making new lows, but the RSI isn't making new lows. And we've come down and we've tapped 7,200. Seven, 1, 7. I think we're going to get some buyers here shortly, aren't we? This has been a rough day. Look at that sea of red across the board. 372. When it bounces, we want it to bounce really hard, and then we can be confident to say that that is an interim bottom. But at the moment, a lot of shorts are going to want to cover as well, and that leads us to a sharp V-shaped recovery. So, are we done yet? I don't think we're done yet. It wants to keep going lower, but I mean, if you're in a short now and you've made huge percentage gains all this week and all today, you know, shorting from 14 down to 7, do you really want to keep risking it in case we go to 6? I think this is where people are going to start to cover their short positions. And when we have a look, just quickly, let's just have a look. I think there was, 70%? 84% of people are short on Binance, 61% on BitMEX. Everyone is short. If we have a bounce here, that's going to squeeze them. But we need buyers to step in to start that process. No bounce yet. It does not look like we're done. It looks like we want to go lower. A flush of 7,000. Wow. We're going to touch the 6s tonight. Okay. Binance coin 1540. It's nothing quite like it, is it, guys, in crypto, watching these liquidations? All these shorts are going to have to cover soon. There we go. We've got a flush. We've dipped below 7,000. Now can we get this bounce we're looking for? So have another little dip of Binance coin, BNB. How do we go? Ethereum had a flush below 150. Litecoin's well below $50. Wow, that's a nasty candle there. XRP down below 23 cents. Go down this list. IOTA down 11% today. The Dragon Index of the Asian coins on FTX down 9%. You've got to take the good with the bad in crypto, don't you guys? Alrighty, okay. Now we're starting to look like we can get a bounce going. This nice long hammer. We want this green candle to finish up with bigger volume than the big red selling candle. But if we don't get a strong bounce, we may well just come back up around here and reject it. If the bulls aren't ready to step in, if there's still plenty of miners selling and whatnot. But by a lot of metrics, we are starting to get overextended, guys. So The percentages say that we are going to mean revert at some stage, but it doesn't have to be immediately, but it's just, the law of averages. We're outside the weekly Bollinger Bands as well. Comment section. Are you guys enjoying this or what? I just can't believe how often this happens where we get lucky. We do these live streams. Trying to catch a falling knife. So this is just day trading and scalping, guys. Don't try and catch falling knives. It's a great day. Yeah, short BCH and ETC. All right, come on. Let's get some more follow through here and some more volume. We've got to make the shorts nervous that their fun is over, that they have to cover. Alrighty. And now we find out if we're going to see some volatility and a bit of fighting between the bulls and the bears. Whether this is just another little dead cat bounce and they're going to push it down again off this bounce. How long have we been going for here? Only 74 likes, guys. On a Friday night. Come on, let's get that likes up to 100. Gold and silver are flying. Okay, did we get some stock market news as well? A bit of a rip higher on stocks. Gold and silver up a little bit. I wonder what the Fed have come out and said. No wonder it's normally the Fed have come out and said something stupid. Let's have a look over at our old friend Zero Hedge. I'm sure there's plenty of important monetary policy announcements today. Former FBI attorney under criminal investigation for fabricating evidence in Russiagate. Is the political system just getting more and more corrupt every day? Sweden's central bank laying out digital currency vision. UBS passing on negative interest rates. Christine Lagarde talking for the first time in public. I'll run through all this obviously in Sunday's update, but you just can't make this stuff up. Well, everything that got me excited about Bitcoin all those years ago, there was no talk of negative interest rates or Trump tweeting on Twitter or anything like that. World leaders all disagreeing over everything. Did you know that was it the Swiss National Bank have sold all their Australian government bonds because they going with a green theme and they don't like our coal? There's another company I read about today as well that are pulling money out. So it's not just individuals that are starting to get this green mindset and whatnot. It's countries and governments, and it's so many things can cause friction at a time when everything had been chugging along really nicely and stock markets are priced to perfection, and there's all these little things starting to go wrong. Awesome. Thank you very much, guys. Jeez, we got that up to 150 legends. Celsius Network. Yeah, I think you should have a play around with all those interest earning, the ones that I've covered on the channel. Nothing, if I haven't spoken about it, guys, it's normally a scam. So don't put your money into anything that's promising those monthly returns other than the ones that are mainstream, trusted and well known. Yeah, the RBA is going to be talking about if they're going to start printing money on the 26th, which is next Tuesday or Wednesday. So I can't wait to see what Philip Lowe says about that. He's promising that negative interest rates aren't going to happen in Australia, but he's got no choice if the rest of the world does it. Let's see if we can make a little higher low here and push up. So a low volume on this little consolidation. If we can make a little flag and then have another big leg up, that would be our ideal scenario to let us know that 7,000 might have marked a bit of an interim bottom, because it has been a long, painful, drawn-out correction. And you can see how this accelerates to the downside. Again, they're the types of things that generally mark bottoms. Now, it doesn't mean that that can't go a little bit sharper, but you can just see how that accelerates volume increases. And that's what we look for to mark a turning point. I guess we had something similar there, and then you at least get a bounce for a few days or whatnot. We don't know if that's the bottom for sure. But if we get a little dead cat bounce here, then unfortunately it looks like we're going back to revisit those 5s and 6s. So that's why I'm hopeful that we get a bit of a strong bounce and a bit of a turning point. But really, I don't think it matters too much. Everyone's got their eyes on the prize of this halving next year. Well, guys, I am going to wrap it up. We've been here for over an hour, about an hour. I don't want to keep you any longer. Let's hope we get this bounce. For members, I'll talk to you again tomorrow morning. I hope you guys all have a great weekend. I hope you've enjoyed that live stream. Let's see how the little nibbles I've had on these trades go, if we can get a bounce. If not, I'm going to shut them down if we break these lows. But wow, alt's down, Bitcoin down, big percentages. I think there's a bounce coming soon. We can't continue with this day after day of just bleeding markets. Things aren't that bad. The sentiment and whatnot, at time and time again, we get these conditions where everyone's panicking and selling. And this time next week, everyone will have forgotten about it, and price will be going up, and everyone will say, oh, geez, wasn't the news telling me that everything was going really bad? So, guys, I'll talk to you again soon. Smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, share these videos around, and cheers.